Coming up, we're back into the inbox, and we're talking about the BT Speak Pro versus the OrbitSpeak. You decide.
You're listening to Double Tap, your daily accessible technology show. Now, here's your hosts, Stephen Scott and Shaun Preece.
Shaun Preece. Lovely to be back with you again. Oh, he's singing along. Out of tune.
I'm actually dancing along as
Out
well,
of time.
which I apologise for. Yes, how are you, Stephen Scott?
I'm all right. Actually, do you know what? I am actually good. I'll tell you why. Because the Stellar Trek arrived at Double Tap Towers.
Oh, no, stop. Wait, I've got something. Hang on.
Yes.
The Stellar Trek found its way to you.
Oh, that's better.
Thank you.
That's better.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You're
I
welcome.
Like that.
Good night.
You know what? At the 10th go at starting this show, that's not bad actually.
Yeah.
I think we finally found our rhythm.
Don't spoil the magic.
Yeah, if he's listening, one take double tap. That's us over here. We're like that show on Netflix, Adolescence. The whole thing's done in one take.
One take, one
Equally
shot.
as depressing. Yes, so
So you've got the Stellar Trek. Have you?
it's not right. I'm going to reach through the internet and strangle you, Preece.
What?
It's not
Stellar Trek?
Stella. As
What is it then?
As in her from A Streetcar Named Desire.
That's
It's-
exactly what it is.
not.
STELLA, Stella.
It's stellar, as in things we're not.
Oh, sorry. Oh, Mr. rolls his R's.
Stellar.
Stellar
Trek.
You know, as soon as I say R, I sound like a pirate, so I try not to say my R's.
I want you to say it.
Okay. Stellar Trek.
Yeah, you just have to reply that. Yeah, you do.
R. Stellar Trek.
Stellar. Oh, me Captain, where are we going today?
Calm down. Have you unboxed it yet?
I have, and I've been. I have to tell you, the Scottish Rona voice, very nice. The speakers on this thing are really nice. Can I be honest? I think it sounds better than the Victor Reader Stream. I don't know how that's possible, but the actual audio is better. I'm going to do a side-by-side test. A full, in-depth review is coming this side of 2027, I promise you.
No guarantees. Yeah,
No
no, that's
guarantees.
very cool. Mind you, you would expect it to have good audio because you're using it outside.
Yeah, but I mean,
So
like,
you
really nice voices. Really, really nice voices.
Right, voices, yeah.
No,
okay.
honestly, and you know, when you go through the voices, you know what it does? And I think this is something that every screen reader should really do, right? It's a bit like fonts. I remember when you would go through a list of fonts, you would actually see like the actual font in reality, instead of just like a list of fonts, it would actually be like if it was a fancy font, it would be written in that fancy font, and the next one would be written in its font style. And you could then sort of look down a list and go, oh, I quite like that one. Well, I think they should do this with voices, because what they do in the Stellar Trek, not Stella, Stellar Trek, is that when you go through the voice list, it changes the voice so you can actually hear what it sounds like. And this is new because the other devices don't have this. You've got to go download them all, like on the Mantis, you've got to download them.
Well,
so, you know, it's like, okay, I mean, you know, I like the fact that you can kind of get a little sample of each voice as you go along. Oh, do you know what? I'm impressed so far, but that's just the setup process. So, you know, things are looking good.
Okay, good. As you said, coming soon.
Thank you to the good people at HumanWare for sending me that. Not to keep, by the way. I noticed that was a thing in the letter.
I didn't get one.
Yeah. Well, what's the point?
What do you mean, what's the point?
What's the point? What would you do with it?
I don't know. I'd listen to the voices.
Yeah. I'll also say the detailed reading function is pretty good as well.
What's that?
So you can just scan an image. Well, it does it for you, right? So, OCR, yeah. So you just take the device and it'll tell you move further away, and then it will snap a picture for you, and then you can actually move around the document in chunks, which is really great because it will break things up like phone numbers and stuff like that. So yeah, really good. And you can save the files. Yeah, I'm kind of impressed.
Okay. We will see.
Yeah,
First
anyway.
impressions.
First impressions are good, and I've got to say the sound is incredible off it. So yeah, good start. A couple other things that are coming out of it, but I need to do a bit more digging before I talk about it because there's a few things I've found and I'm thinking, ooh, this is exciting.
Sadly, you are talking about it right now.
Well, okay, fine. I'll talk about something else. Meta Ray-Ban glasses, right? I figured out today that I was drinking orange juice, and I thought for the whole week I was drinking peach.
No.
It blew my mind. I am an idiot.
Let's go back to the Stellar Trek, I think. Peach or orange? Who knew?
Well, the problem is I only can call this what I call it, right? So again, we're in this situation of international doom because, you know, this is a linguistics issue, I think, here at Double Tap, where I will call something, and then you will say, I have no idea what that is, and half the audience won't know what it is, except for several of our Scottish listeners who'll say, I know exactly what that is.
Ockeye the new.
I'm talking about diluting juice.
Cordial. Squash, if you will.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, yeah, they taste
We call it
all
diluting
the same.
juice.
That's
right. No, they do.
They
They do taste all the same, and that's the problem. So I was saying to my wife, hey, do you want a drink of this beautiful orange juice? And she said, yeah, why not? And I said, you know what? Well, actually, no, I thought it was peach, right? So I said, do you want some peach? And I said, hey, I won't say her name.
No.
Lady. Or Judi Dench, actually, to be precise, because in the UK we can get the Judi Dench voice. So I said, hey, Judi Dench, what is this? Look and describe. And she said, it's zesty orange and mango.
Oh, what? You're trusting the AI? It could have been peach, actually.
Oh, come on. I mean, how's it going to get that mixed up?
You say that. Nobody knows.
Thanks.
Okay, cool.
And yesterday, actually, on that point, yesterday was LlamaCon, which is not an event all about the plight of llamas.
Yes, well, kind of is, but yes.
Well, yeah, I suppose it is in a way. But we're talking about Llama, which is Meta's AI. And I kind of tried to follow along. It felt like a very developer-focused event. So not a lot came out, I don't think. But the one story, I guess, that came out was about Meta AI coming out as an app itself. That was kind of the thing I picked up from today, from yesterday's story.
Yeah, I haven't seen it all yet, so I can't say too much. But I will say I went through the updates in my app store, and yes, MetaView was there. I thought, ooh, what's new?
Ooh.
And I read the release notes. On a side note, update notes in all of the updates are absolutely terrible. WhatsApp has been this. WhatsApp,
your attitude
the update
is just shocking.
I'm sorry. No. If you're going to release an update, at least tell us what's in it. Don't just copy and paste your last 6 update notes in there. Absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, the MetaView app has changed its name. It's now called Meta AI. The notes,
MetaView has become Meta AI.
Yes.
What?
Yes. Yes, that's the point. Yes, it's no longer called MetaView. Now, I opened it up straight away, being all giddy and excited, and it's exactly the same for me in the UK. There's always the caveat with Meta, because in the release notes it says you can now have a conversation with your Meta AI. So for a second I thought this is going to be like Copilot or ChatGPT or
Live
Gemini
AI or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, so you're going to open the MetaView app and actually have a conversation and talk to that rather than through your glasses, just on your phone. But for me, that isn't the case. So far, it's exactly the same. But of course, that may change.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So, right. So but in terms of the app itself, I mean, Meta AI would suggest to me I'm going into like a Chat GPT.
Yes.
So I'm guessing there's still the settings tab and still all the stuff that's in there.
Exactly the same.
Oh, right.
Exactly
Just
the
the name
same.
change, really.
Just the name change so far. It wouldn't surprise me if we do get a, talk to Meta AI button in there at some point and you can just talk to it through the app. That's what I'm expecting to happen. But we will dig through that LlamaCon a bit more and see if there's any nuggets in there we can pull out.
Do you know, it's interesting reading so much about Google Glass or potential Google Glass or Glasses or whatever they end up calling them.
There's a lot more excitement about those
There
recently.
is. And there's talk of events being changed. So I think the software update that was coming as part of I.O., Google I.O., that's their big event, a bit like WWDC, I guess. They're going to make that a virtual event for software, meaning they're going to focus on something else at Google I.O. That could suggest new hardware is coming. And the reason being is because Meta, of course, are about to announce their 3rd generation of Meta glasses, and the competition is heating up. I mean, there's tons of talk about what Apple are up to in the background, but who knows? I mean, I think the thing that's likely this year to be seen is possibly a new Apple Vision Air or Apple Vision Pro Cheap or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're going to call it.
That's exactly the name. They'll go with Apple Vision Pro Cheap.
Air, I think, is more probable than that. Everything seems to be going airy. iPhone 17 Air, Vision Pro Air, maybe. Yeah, the
Apple Intelligence up in the air.
Oh, nowhere. Okay.
Nowhere, yeah.
Thank you.
I like that.
Google I/O is in May, isn't it? It's 13th of May or something like that. But what they did say is that they are having a special Android-focused event or show. So the Android show, it's actually going to be called. They do have a YouTube channel for the Android show. So they're going to be talking about all the new version of Android there before Google I/O. But they're still going to have, the major features coming up in the Google I/O for new killer features in Android. So
of course, yeah.
Yeah, but they are separating them out. So that's quite interesting.
Well, we'll see what it comes of it. But I'm kind of intrigued to see what comes, especially from the hardware front from Google. I mean, we haven't really had much new hardware from them. There's lots of focus in the past couple of years on software and software alone. And I think, to be honest, what Google have been doing and smartly doing is really focusing in on getting their AI right. Or what I mean by that is, making it usable.
Steady.
I mean, look, I think they're doing really well. I mean, I actually thought at one point, Google are going to fall behind even Apple. I was convinced at one point that, Apple would reign supreme.
Yeah.
And look what's happened. Look where we're at, where Google are kind of leading the charge. Meta are doing well, although the AI isn't, I don't think. I think the AI has a lot of work to be done on it. It feels like it's a long way off. And a lot of people are saying that there's so much data already held by Google on most people that actually it will be a better AI, that agent that we're looking for, if we're looking for it at all. It's probably going to be better at that.
Well, that was a conversation we were having at the time, wasn't it? When it was Bard, and we were saying, how have Google fumbled on this? Because they've got everyone's data. They've been the king of search for the longest time. And yet they seem to have fumbled on this. And then they just seem to have turned a corner. As soon as that name change came along, it seems, I mean, I got to say, I'm really impressed with all of them so far. I use Copilot all the time on my desktop just because it's just there in front of me. Alt-space, and I'm talking to it. Alt-space, Alt-T to talk to it. And it's really good. Gemini on my phone and ChatGPT as well. They're all very nice.
So I also saw on that update that it said Windows Copilot Alt-Space. But when I actually go to do Alt-Space, I get a strange menu bar that pops up to do with Power Toys. So I don't know if I've installed something by accident or maybe need to uninstall Power Toys, but I seem to have another thing.
Yeah, I'm no Sherlock Holmes, but I'm guessing it's Power Toys that you've installed.
Well, you might be onto something there.
That's causing that issue. I did come across that myself as well. I actually uninstalled Power Toys because some of the keyboard shortcuts did interfere with others. So, yes, uninstall it.
Yeah,
unless you need it for something.
Well, I used to use it for keyboard, changing keyboard keys and stuff, but I actually use Sharp keys now if I'm going to do it at all. So
there you go. Yeah.
Sharp keys still works to this day, which is amazing. You think it's such an old application, and yet it's going absolutely fine. Listen, just so you know, we're going to be talking soon about ARM processors on Windows PCs soon. Greg Hayes is going to come back on and talk with us. So if you have any questions that you'd like to ask Greg, we'd love to put them to him. So do get in touch with your questions. If you have any questions on the future, because look, a lot of people are saying, well, this is the future. I've got to say I have plenty of concerns. I know Greg is a little bit more positive about ARM on Windows than I am at the moment.
He loves it.
Well, I've been having a lot of fun, let's say, in that area recently. So I'm going to share that story soon when we get Greg on. I'm going to put him to the test. I'm going to say to him, I don't agree with you, Greg Hayes.
Don't spoil it. Okay. He's a guest. He's a welcome guest. A friend of the show, if you will.
Oh, well, in that case, I can talk to him any way I want then, right?
Okay. Fair enough. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Let's do that then. Right, look, let's move on. Let's get some emails.
Email. We get email. We get your email every day.
Steady. Ding dong. That was bang on, wasn't it?
Okay.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Oosh. Again. Sorry. Oh, I messed all that up.
Timing. Just do your ding dong and oosh and get out, will you?
I've just got nervous. It makes me tense.
Okay. So
Quickly now. Move on.
Jamie G's in touch and has some advice for you, Shaun Preece. Maybe even something that can help you.
Hi. This is a message for Shaun. This is Jamie G. You were talking about the accessible blood monitors. I'm type 1 diabetic, but I do use the Nexus. I've used it in the past, then I stood on it, so I had to get a replacement recently. It does speak out your blood sugar result. You don't have to code it like the old machines. It's not smart or anything. You just put the strip in, even without turning the machine on. You put the strip in. It will talk to let you know that it's ready, and you put the blood on and it reads you a result. It's as simple as that. But as a type 2 diabetic who has sight issues, there's no reason why your doctor shouldn't prescribe it to you. I have other type 2 diabetic friends who are blind or partially sighted who were prescribed it because they were wasting strips. They just couldn't get the blood onto the strip right, and the blood was getting everywhere. It can be a bit footery, so that's maybe the way to go about this. Tell them it's difficult, and there's no reason whatsoever that you shouldn't get a Libra. I also use the Libra. I think they prescribe Libra 2 and 2 Plus. I'm on a 3 because mine connects to my phone, which connects to my insulin pump, which is partially accessible. Working on that at the minute with the people who make it. They are being very helpful, actually. But good luck. And I would go back to the doctor. Go in chloride in blood, with your clothes chloride in blood, and say, look, I just can't get it on the strip. You're going to have to give me one of those.
Go in drenched in blood.
Claried with blood.
I think word of the day out of that is footery. That is a fantastic word.
Oh, I like it. I have no idea what it means, but I like it.
It means difficult. It means awkward. Like you.
Oh, okay.
You're footery.
Thank you, Jammy G. Yeah, okay, so this was coming off me asking about an accessible glucose monitor. I'm type 2 diabetic, and I did notice, of course, I did the old search on Amazon to see what was available, because the ones that they gave me at the doctor's, the monitor was not accessible at all, even though they said it was. It wasn't. And I noticed the Nexus Voice, Nexus Voice. And I noticed it was under £30 here. So what's that, around 50 Canadian?
Yeah.
So I thought, that seems very cheap. That can't be accessible. There must be some catch. So thank you so much for the information. You know what? I think that's worth a try no matter what. So I am going to get that one. Of course, it does mean I've got to get used to, as you said, using the Lancet, I believe it's called, to get the blood out of your fingertip, put it onto the strip, and then put the strip into the thing. But I'm lucky. Type 2, it's not a necessity for me to monitor my glucose every single day. So for that reason, I was told, no, you're not getting the Freestyle Libra. And to be fair, I kind of understand it. I'm on new medication. I've kind of got it under control now. So, yeah, it's fine. But I am going to try that one out. Thank you.
So my rant, shouting, saying you should have this, and I will march down to Manchester and shout at your doctor for you, was kind of pointless.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, but thank you.
I'll stand by you.
I went from 110 down to 40. My glucose is now 40. So apparently that's good. That's okay. So he said you don't need to monitor it all the time.
Okay, well, that's good. All things are going in the right direction. That's
nice.
Good. Okay, thank you, Jammy G. Appreciate that. Brian's been in touch about Bixby after my disparaging comments.
Hi, Stephen and Shaun. I recently heard you trashing Bixby.
Mm-hmm.
Until a few weeks ago, I would have been standing shoulder to shoulder with you in your opinion. However, I found somewhere that it had vastly improved and decided to give it another try. It is so useful now. I have moved it to the side button and now use it for opening any app that I need to, sending messages, making calls, as well as asking general questions. It isn't as good as Copilot with general info, but to make using the phone easier, it is fantastic. You can even use it to turn the phone off or turn on or off silent mode. Please let other listeners know this, as it will solve a lot of problems for many VIPs. There are step-by-step instructions on the web to tell you how to move it to the side button. I hope this is useful. Great show. I listen to every one of them. Thank you for your efforts. Brian.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
I like to be told when I'm wrong. I don't mind that at all. And if
You're
Bixby's
wrong.
good, apparently, yeah. And it's funny because I don't know if you guys caught this, but Shaun and I were on with Carrie Morales on Carrie on Accessibility recently. And we were chatting with John Dyer from Accessible Android. And we were chatting with them about the whole kind of Android experience and my thoughts on the S25 Plus and the Ultra Watch as well. And the Bixby thing came up because I was kind of saying, yeah, it's a lot of trash, why bother? And
Wrong.
I was put right, quite rightly.
You were told you were wrong.
I was wrong.
You know what it is? Like, on the Android phones, with the Gemini taking over as the voice assistant, so cool. And I jumped on that. I tried that out. And I noticed straight away that anything to do with actually controlling the device, I think actually even just trying to play some music, it was no good. It would not do anything like that. And of course, then you go back to either the Google voice assistant or, in the case of Samsung, Bixby, because they're the only ones that can do it up till now.
It's complicated for new users, though, isn't it? Because you would think that one's replacing the other. So, or at least you would think that they're all capable of the same thing if it's your assistant on the phone.
Yeah.
I think this is where things are getting a little bit complicated. And Google Gemini is good, but, there are a lot of things it can't do, as you're saying. So, if Bixby fills in the gaps, then that's good. But I honestly thought Bixby was on the way out. I thought it was a Cortana. I just thought, whatever.
Well, stop having a go at Cortana. I miss Cortana.
Are you kidding me? I mean, Cortana, it made Clippy look useful.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Good point. Well made.
I used to love when I was doing a setup of a Windows PC and you'd have Cortana. It was like two versions of voice.
Oh, yes.
You'd have narrator do it like straight, right? And then you'd have the comedy act come in. You're like, hi, would you like your computer set up? Hey, you're looking great today. Do you want to hit that accept button?
We're nearly done.
We're nearly done. Hold on tight. Oh, come on, Or alternatively, you just have, you're nearly done. Hold on tight.
Copilot needs a wake word. Microsoft, if you're listening, it needs a wake word.
Well, it does, because I think the whole thing of going into the Copilot and then you got it, tab to the voice button and then, set speed. And it's not a huge amount of work to do that, but it would be nice if you could just have a quick shortcut to take you straight in and out of voice.
Yeah. Can I also say everything needs to be able to understand the term, okay, I've finished now, stop listening and go away.
Yeah.
Because the amount of times that every single AI app out there, it just doesn't show up. I've got to go into the app switcher, find it, close it down. It's annoying.
We're never really happy, are we?
Nope.
Excellent. Okay, Lindy's here, also not happy.
Hello, Double Tap team. My question is, how do I find the Double Tap on Air website that you refer to? All my searches only give me the podcast or YouTube links, and I want to find any notes or references that I'm interested in. Re your podcast interviewing Greg from Phoenix, Arizona. I would have really liked to hear more of what Greg had to say about laptop computers. However, Stephen got started on a, dare I say it, rant, and Greg was cut off before he was finished.
Oh.
He has a lot of excellent knowledge that I would have liked to mine. I do enjoy your conversations, guys, but not when there is information sharing that is truly helpful. Cheers, Lindy.
Hang on, you don't like them when they are super helpful? I'm confused.
When we interrupt helpful information with our waffle, I'm guessing.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Was the general, and we're very, very sorry, but luckily Greg is coming back to talk about ARM. So
Hooray!
If you have any questions, send them in, Lindy, and we'll make sure we throw them at Greg, if Stephen gives him a chance, that is, of course.
Yeah, I do want to get more out of that conversation, because I think I felt the same way. I felt there's a lot more we could talk about in this. I know you don't agree, but I think we could talk more about this.
Well, okay. Well, we will see. We'll see. I think we need some more questions that surrounded it. And where can we find the Double Tap on Air website, Stephen Scott?
You'll find it on an internet near you. It's www.doubletaponair.com.
That was a very aggressive
I felt aggressive. Double tap, yeah. Like Rob did that there. www.doubletaponair, all one word, .com. That's where you'll find us, Lindy. And you'll get all the content and all the individual interviews and the podcasts and the YouTube and the whatever else they've put up there.
Okay. Thank you, Lindy.
Thank you, Lindy. Bev is up next.
Hi guys, since I live in Canada and am now very reluctant to buy anything from the United States, and I am a JAWS user which I need to upgrade, I am interested in looking at the Dolphin Supernova screen reader from jolly old England. I don't think I've ever heard any reviews on it or how easy or efficient it is to use. It likely requires a considerable investment and I would have to learn a whole new system. I would appreciate any info from you or your audience. Bev in Canada.
Well, I'm glad you brought this up, Bev, because we did speak to Dolphin when we were over at CSUN, and I had a bit of a conversation with the team there saying, look, we really do need to speak to you more because we don't feel that Dolphin gets much representation at all, if any, on our show.
Nope.
And I want to change that because a lot of people are interested in what Dolphin can do. It's obviously available around the world, maybe not everywhere, but certainly around the world to most places. So I think people would like to know what the deal is with it. You know, I kind of always tell the story of the fact that it was the very first magnification product I ever saw. I can't remember the year, but probably 94 or 93 maybe. And
before that, wasn't it?
Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean,
Dolphin
it
has
was.
been
No,
around
no. I'm just saying when I saw it. I'm not saying when it was made.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I'm saying when I first saw it. It's all about
All right,
me, you
don't
know.
get aggressive. Okay.
So
Yes.
I will get aggressive. But that's what I do. But yeah, basically, what was I saying? I can't remember now. But basically, it was brilliant at the time. I remember the magnification was brilliant. Never tried the screen reader. So I'm throwing this out to you guys. Get in touch because we'd love to hear your thoughts on Dolphin, Supernova, Dolphin Guide as well, which is a great package I hear about. So we're going to be talking to the guys. We've actually got an interview booked in with them to chat all about Dolphin. So if you do have questions, get in touch and we will make sure we feature them in an upcoming episode. So there you go.
Do you know what? That's on us as well, though. I always forget about Dolphin, and that's terrible because they're as mature as something like Jules as well.
Absolutely,
They've been
yeah.
around for the longest time. So, yeah, you're absolutely right.
The dolphin is always eaten by the shark.
Oh, that's clever. Isn't it the other way around? Don't dolphins beat up sharks?
I don't think so.
I believe I'm correct. Feedback
Yes,
at doubletaponair.com.
That's Google Gemini.
Get in touch with Double Tap. Email feedback at doubletaponair.com. Leave us a voicemail at 1-877-803-4567. And now you can send an audio or video message to us on WhatsApp. That number is 1-613-481-0144.
Yeah, don't get in touch about sharks and dolphins. Not interested. We have enough emails. I promise you we can avoid that topic. But let's move on. Let's talk about the BT Speak and the OrbitSpeak. With me now is Lisa Salinger, who has been testing out both and can speak with authority on all of it. Lisa, welcome to Double Tap.
Thank you. I'm very glad to be here.
Yeah, it's great to talk to you because, look, there's so many cool gadgets out there and people want to know more about them. And it's not always possible for us here at Double Tap to get access to everything. So we lean on people who are actually out there using this stuff every day. And that's the key thing for me when it comes to reviews. I don't know about you, but, if I hear a review by someone, I don't want to hear the sort of 5-minute unboxing and, 5-minute experience that follows. I want to hear someone who's actually using these things in everyday life. And when it comes to the two products we're going to talk about today, the BT Speak Pro and the OrbitSpeak, and we could talk about a lot more, I'm sure, but, let's kind of hone in on these two. You've been using them, you've been testing these out. What are your experience of these types of devices, these types of portable computers, essentially?
There are times when it's just helpful to write something down and to have a physical keyboard to do it. And then you have the extras. So, for example, I could take it with me when I get taxes done. I could write down how much I owe. Take it with me to church. I can put an earbud in and follow along with our scriptures. There's all different things you can do. And the way that I use it might be completely different than the way somebody else would use it.
So let's maybe break it down for people. If you're coming to this and you've never heard of these devices before, or maybe you've heard the names, but you're not entirely sure what they do. Because I imagine there's lots of people, and I'm included in this, where you hear about these products and they sound great. And then it feels like, it's a bit like when you ask someone their name and then you don't quite hear it the first time and then you don't quite hear it the second time. By the time you get to the third and fourth time, it's rude to ask again, right? So you kind of feel like maybe shouldn't ask this because I feel I should know. Talk us through the BT Speak Pro first off, because that's the one that a lot of people out there have been talking about, certainly on my Mastodon feed.
Actually, if you don't mind, I'm going to take the liberty a little bit of talking about them both together.
Okay.
And then I'll go with the BT Speak first after that. So they are both relatively the same size. I have an iPhone 15 Pro. They are more or less the size of that. both have measurements and weight written down on their websites. They're very similar. The BT Speak is a little chunkier, and a little shorter. The OrbitSpeak is thinner and slightly longer. BT Speak has, as does OrbitSpeak, has 8 input keys. So you've got your dots 1 through 6, and then dots 7 and 8, which serve as backspace and enter. They also both have space key. And then the OrbitSpeak has some additional function keys. And they have some different things. The OrbitSpeak, or the BT Speak has, oh dear, what's that port called that you plug into a TV?
Oh, the HDMI.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Except it's like a mini. It's a mini one.
Okay.
It looks very much like the USB-C port, which is also there. One difference that some people care about, I personally do not, but some do. The OrbitSpeak has a dedicated headset jack, earphone jack, and the BT Speak requires that you use USB-C, and those are, or Bluetooth. They both have Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. Bluetooth, USB-C earbuds are all fairly easy to find.
Okay. Now, in my mind, and this is only from what I've read, the BT Speak Pro, I would say, is a computer because it runs Linux, right? It runs Linux software. So essentially that's its base. So that's its operating system, right? That's what it lives on. And OrbitSpeak, in my mind, I'm not sure of what it runs on top. It may be the same. It was Android.
Android.
But it's a bit more closed in, right? It's a bit more of a closed in system, a bit like other Braille note takers that are out there.
Yes. And often I get asked by people, especially people who are personal friends, they kind of do the whole nudge, nudge, wink, wink thing and say, I know you don't really like to commit, but okay, which one should I really buy?
Which is best? Yeah. Which one's best?
I mean, everybody wants to know that. You want to get the most for your money.
Yeah.
And it really depends on the person and their use case. And you've just kind of nicely put a finger very precisely on that use case, which is that if someone has more basic computer needs, maybe they're a little phobic about technology.
Mm-hmm.
They might find the OrbitSpeak works better. You can network the BT Speak using Linux with other computers and other technology that you have. So someone might find that more appealing, the idea that they can play with this and possibly learn a new operating system. Now, that isn't to say that if you're technical, you can't use the OrbitSpeak, and if you're a beginner, you can't use the BT Speak, because both of them you really can use, and it's just a matter of how they're laid out and how how that works for you. I do feel that the build of the OrbitSpeak is slightly more sturdy. I did decide to get the executive products, or now it's called Turtleback, the leather case for it. I bought my BT Speak second hand, and that had a case. But if I didn't have cases, I feel like the OrbitSpeak would be okay in whatever case I had it in, although I like the form-fitted case. I like that you don't have to take it out
to use it,
because that's just asking to drop it, you know. Yeah. But I feel like the BT Speak kind of needs a case. Now, whether that is reality or just my perception, I don't know. It doesn't feel as maybe it's just how the keys are arranged. It doesn't feel quite as sturdy, but I'm certainly not faulting the design. I'm just kind of trying to highlight differences.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's your experience of it, right? That's what you've been, you kind of know sometimes with a device whether or not you think it would survive a fall. And that's ultimately
and
what
it
you're
very well
concerned about.
might.
Yeah.
I don't know. The other thing I find with the OrbitSpeak is it does have, as do most of the Orbit products, kind of a cursor cross on it like you would see on a remote. And I find that way of navigating very intuitive. And I know sometimes if I've been using the OrbitSpeak for a little while, and then I switch to the BTSpeak, I kind of jab my finger in the direction of the cursor cross and it's not there. So
it is hard when you come to review these things, isn't it? Because they all have their own little different ways of working, and muscle memory kicks in very quickly, especially if you become used to it and you like it.
I love when I flick right on my computer keyboard and I think, why isn't it working? It's no, you have to press that.
So let's break it down further, because I think a lot of people would probably want to know, I certainly do, about the applications built in. So let's take it from that beginner perspective, okay? We'll discuss later about the advanced features of one perhaps over the other. Mm-hmm. And I know that's a big draw for a lot of people to the BTSpeak Pro. But what about those of built-in applications? What do you get out of the box on each device?
You get, on both of them, you get a way to manage files, translate Braille. You have radio databases, media players. OrbitSpeak is in the process of getting a pod catching client. I honestly don't remember if BTSpeak has that. It probably does. BTSpeak has, I would say, more features. They both have kind of some things in common, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. But for example, BTSpeak has a Morse code generator. They put a copy of the Bible in there. They put some games in there, and also a way to learn Braille, which is good because some people get these kinds of devices to help improve their learning. And, we talked a little bit about what they look like, but I don't think I specifically said what they are. I've kind of inferred it all over the place. Let me just be really clear. They both require Braille input. In other words, you won't have a standard typewriter keyboard. It will be generally your 8 dots and your space bar. So it's Braille in and speech out. That's why they both have the name Speak in their names. Now, might they at some point develop one that speaks and has a Braille display? Yeah, I would say that's pretty possible and even likely, although I don't have any particular intel. But they are Braille input and speech output devices. I also, I guess, should address a little bit my path or my qualifications, how I kind of come to make this recommendation or make these comparisons. I did help produce the tutorial for the OrbitSpeak. And as such, I was given a unit so I could do that. And then I became very curious in the differences and similarities between the two. And I bought a secondhand BTSpeak. So that's how I've kind of come to this place. I work for Hadley as an access technology specialist. So I enjoy this kind of thing.
And it should be clear, I sought you out because I had noticed you were doing a webinar on this topic, and that's what led me to you, because you were talking about these devices, and I just wanted to get your take here on the show, because I think it's important that we hear from people who test these devices, use these devices every day, as I was saying earlier. So with all that in mind, these devices are actually quite different, yet very similar. And the difference is, I guess, how far you can go with the device, right? Because like we were saying earlier, you have the options, you have those base applications on there, but you can go further on the BT Speak Pro if you chose to with Linux.
Yes. You can go into the Linux mode and you can use email programs and word processing. You can print from it. You can transfer files to and from another, from a PC.
And have you done that? Have you ever done anything like that? Have you gone that far?
Haven't yet.
Okay.
I haven't yet. I have every intention of, but life has been a bit busy, and so
the reason I ask is because I think there's many of us out here who might be thinking that sounds cool, but it might be a little bit challenging, right? Because it's a whole new operating system to learn. I mean, no doubt that it's accessible because, otherwise, people wouldn't be able to even think about using it. And it does have its own screen reader, I believe, called Orca. At least it used to. So, and it's a long time since I've delved into the world of Linux, but is it something for the beginner in that case? Do you think, or is this just more of a journey of discovery to sort of learn to play with?
I would not, if you are not competent on Windows or on Mac, I don't mean you're a ninja who can do absolutely everything. But let's say you can't cut or copy text. You can't do basic things. I would, and this is just my opinion, but I would stay with one operating system and gain competence in that, because from what I understand, you're more in the weeds with Linux. And so you could make some pretty sweeping changes that you don't want to make, and you could end up with a BT Speak that functions a whole lot like a brick.
Yeah. And I guess that's part of my concern when people get very excited about these products, and I do too. I tend to think to myself, okay, the concern I've got here is that if I was to go out here and buy a BT Speak Pro, and I think to myself, great, I've got essentially a computer I can take with me wherever I go, and it's just in this tiny little box, and it's easy to use. And then I learn that actually I have to go into Linux mode to get access to the web and get access to the emails, and now I have to learn this whole other operating system. I get a little bit nervous. I'll be honest. I think, oh no, here we go. I feel like now I am in the weeds again, like I did when I first went onto Safari on the iPhone and felt like I literally was on Safari at any minute going to be attacked by inaccessibility.
Yes. Yeah. But, I think it really depends on your mindset. Mindset has so much to do, I think, with learning. And if you kind of go, this is going to be hard. I just know I'm going to blow something up, or I need to learn this by Monday, you need to have, I think, more a sense of playful curiosity. Okay, I know enough that I'm probably not a danger to myself. So let's read, let's learn, let's see what this is like. And, let's say that you have this little computer in your pocket and it's wonderful, but you don't really care about printing from it or surfing the web, but you sure want to use it to get your email. Well, you can learn, excuse me, you can learn those bits of Linux.
Yeah, just take one bit at a time.
Interest you. Yeah. And you can't do it in a day anyway. And so it's best to not try. And, you want to have really strong goals. People say, I want to be able to use the computer better by 3 weeks from Tuesday. But they don't know what tasks that involves, what they have to do.
Yeah.
And I think having those goals and that sense of curiosity will really help with any new technology.
It's almost like the advice we give ourselves when we're learning anything new, isn't it? I mean, this is how I felt when I was teaching my mum how to use an iPad. One app at a time. Find something you want to do and begin the journey there. And it kind of gives you the sense of how it all works and how it plays. I know we're talking a lot about Linux here, and people will say, well, I'm maybe not interested in that. I'm more interested in the devices themselves and what they can do out of the box, what they can do by themselves without going into all that. So maybe let's stay on that for a minute, because the OrbitSpeak is been out for a little while now, and BT Speak Pro has too. But I would say well, you tell me, is it fair to say there's more of a community around the BT Speak Pro? I'm thinking of people you can talk to,
Yes.
get advice if you're struggling.
I think so. They both have tech support. They both, I believe, have like monthly conference calls with updates. They both have mailing lists. It feels like there's a bit more community around the BT Speak. And I think a lot of that is like all of us old Braille and Speak users. I mean, everybody who was blind, at a certain time in the late 80s, it felt like you're blind. Okay, you have a cane and you have a Braille and Speak.
Yeah.
It was that ubiquitous. It was everywhere. And it's really funny because I think the OrbitSpeak is as much like the Braille and Speak as the BT Speak is. They're
That's
very
interesting.
Yeah, the interfaces are pretty basic. A lot of the keyboard commands are similar or the same. Of course, the Braille and Speak had 6-dot, not 8-dot entry. So, that's a difference for both of them.
And if I had an Orbit reader, say I had the Orbit Reader 20, for example, and I decided that I wanted something more portable, so I wanted the OrbitSpeak because I had the audio output, and I'm not too bothered about having the Braille display. Would I feel comfortable making that leap?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I'm any great shakes technologically. I'm probably average. I created a good bit of the tutorial without the manual because there wasn't a manual yet. And I don't say that as a credit to me, but I do say it as a credit to how intuitive the unit is. The BT Speak commands make perfect sense, but I do find myself looking up things more. But their support and their customer service has been second to none. I tell a quick embarrassing story on myself. The BT Speak takes a micro SD card, and the OrbitSpeak takes a standard SD card. So I was putting a micro SD card into the BT Speak, and I still have no idea quite how I did this, but I managed to drop the card into the BT Speak, not into the slot, into the BT Speak.
Well done.
It was gone. Yeah. That was only one of many things I said. Yeah. So I contacted them and I said, I'm really embarrassed. And they said, no, you're part of a large club. So they sent me out a replacement. I sent mine back. Here's the thing that really blew my mind. About 4 days after I sent mine back, I get an email from Dean Blasey, who is the owner of the company. And he said, we've mailed your SD card back in an envelope. It's taped to a piece of paper.
Wow.
I never expected to see that SD card again.
That's impressive.
They went the extra mile.
Yeah.
I mean, and they knew because they have me registered in their records. They didn't get the sale from me for that unit. And they still just really went above and beyond. And I think that says a lot about them.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Because we're not really coming to the conclusion people might expect or want us to come to at this point, where we say one is better than the other, or we should go this way or not. And I don't know if that's really fair to do either, because
I just can't in good conscience.
Well, yeah, and they are different
so
machines.
Similar, but so different. Yeah,
they are different. I mean, yeah, there are a lot of similarities, but there are differences here. And I think it depends ultimately on the type of person you are. I'll be honest, I think I'm probably more OrbitSpeak than BT Speak, because I kind of like the walled garden.
Yeah, and when you turn on the OrbitSpeak, you're in a menu. So you have the file manager and book reader and utilities and settings and all of that. When you turn on the BT Speak, you are in a welcome screen. And you can do everything from that welcome screen. And there is some text there. There are a few lines of help text. But if I haven't used it in a little while and I end up at that welcome screen, I do have the feeling of, okay, where do I go next?
Yeah.
And that's part of why I said if someone's a little fearful of technology, it's not any harder. But I think the perception is that it could be a little harder. Like, where do I go? What do I do? Whereas you really, you know exactly where you're going on the OrbitSpeak, and you can know exactly where you're going on the BTSpeak, but you may not know that the first time. You're going to need to use that manual, which is a good thing because they have a really very good manual and audio tutorial.
If you come from the Braille and Speak days, I suppose it doesn't faze you too much. But I do wonder if you've spoken to people who perhaps miss the Braille display being attached, being more used to, devices like the Focus 14 or the HumanWare range.
Yeah.
Without the Braille display, does it cause a problem? Does it affect people?
I think having Braille in the units can make a difference, but it depends on your use case. If you're not a Braille reader, if you can write it enough, but you've just never been a very fast reader, it's fine. It also depends on what you're doing. So if I'm writing down information at the tax office, I don't necessarily need to read it back.
Yeah.
But let's say that I'm doing a reading out loud in church, then I would need a Braille display. But I think the real beauty of these units is their small size. When you put them in a case, they're about the size of a large man's wallet, or kind of one of those wallets that a woman carries when she doesn't carry a purse, like a big oversized wallet. That's kind of the size of it. So it fits very nicely into somewhere so that, you may not even know if you will need it, but you can bring it along, and then you don't really, if you need it, you've got it, but it's not going to inconvenience you just by being there because it's a smaller size. And I find the speech very good on both of them. I'm not going to remember to reel off all the voices, but for me, I have Vocalizer Samantha set on the BTSpeak, and the BTSpeak, and I forget the number, but it's one of the Google male voices I have set on the OrbitSpeak. I have mild to moderate hearing loss, and I find those voices are quite easy for me to hear and understand.
Now, can I ask you just very briefly about the Orbit Player? Because both you and I got hands-on with it at CSUN. What's your thoughts? Again, we're always comparing it, aren't we? We're comparing it to the Sense Player. We're comparing it to the Victor Reader Stream 3. But, how does it stack up? Because it is going to come in at a cheaper price.
I like it. I like that it has a user replaceable battery. I like that it has Bluetooth 5. It just sounds really good. Again, there is not a manual yet because it is not out yet. And I was able to go through it and kind of figure out what I needed to do and when and where. I think it's a nice little player, and I think it has the potential to be a fairly big hit.
Have you had any rumors regarding Audible support? Because this is one area I think that often comes up with these devices.
No, but I'm not sure I'd hold my breath, only because I feel like Amazon is locking down their assets more, and Audible is one of those. I don't know anything. I don't have any information on that. That's just my own speculation.
Yeah, but it does seem a really nice player. The audio was lovely. The buttons were very nice. Very solid device. Again, just another very solid Orbit device. Lisa, it's been wonderful talking to you today. Thank you so much for your time. And you've got to come back soon and geek out with us again.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. I've enjoyed it.
That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed chatting there with Lisa. She knows her onions when it comes to this stuff.
Lisa Onions there. It's always nice when you get to speak to someone who's got hands on, right? Who knows and can compare. Because you're right, we always do compare, no matter what. And there is a lot of crossover between functionality. But it's always nice when you get to speak to someone like that. Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. The Orbit Player, I think, is going to be a real hit. I see some people saying, it could be nice if it was cheaper. I think we'd always wish everything was cheaper. Yeah, of course. But, I do think this price point that is coming in at $300 US, as long as it can stay that way, there's a lot of concerns around prices. I'm not talking about Orbit. I'm talking about tariffs, and I'm talking about where things are going. Who knows where things will be? I know there's lots of concern around that, obviously, but we'll need to wait and see. I saw someone the other day saying I think everyone seems to be buying a PC right now because they think the prices are about to just go straight up.
Panic buying, yes.
So yeah, it's like I'm thinking, what can I buy? I want to buy something now, and I use the excuse of tariffs.
You've been doing that for years.
I was waiting for this moment. Yeah, exactly. Listen, we're out of time for today. Thank you as always for all your emails, all your contributions. Keep them coming in all the usual ways, and doubletaponair.com is where you'll find our website. Thanks to everyone, and thank you, Shaun Preece, as always. Catch you tomorrow.
Thank you. Bye-bye.